drift truck or tow truck? We don't know.
But forget the drift truck, here is the new car for this video. This is a 1988 BMW 325i, 2.5 liter 6-cylinder, automatic transmission, unfortunately. Beautiful red interior. This is an E30. Personally, my favorite, really the only BMW that I like. And today we're gonna work on it. Get it running and driving, and surprise Keegan with it. Now off the rip, there's a couple things I have to be clear about. I did not purchase this car. Keegan actually purchased this car for himself. Huge props to him for doing that. He saved up for years, even bought an LS400 and then flipped it for profit to eventually purchase this thing right here. There is, however, one major problem with the car. It doesn't run. Now we knew this going into the project. The previous owner stated in the marketplace post that he couldn't get it to run. It just shut off on him randomly one day. When we went to look at the car, we had him crank it over for us, and I could immediately tell it was making zero compression. And thus, I figured it was probably a broken timing belt. I did just take apart the front timing cover, and sure enough, it does have a broken timing belt. The reason why that wasn't a concern, and really isn't too much of a concern, is because we're gonna engine swap this thing. That was the whole plan from the get-go. Just put a different engine and a manual transmission into it. I'm not gonna give away those secrets yet. But Keegan is currently out of town visiting family for Thanksgiving. I figured it could be a fun little surprise to get this thing running and driving for him so that when he comes back, I can pick him up from the airport in the car that he purchased. Two things I'm worried about. Firstly, Keegan might be a little upset that I'm working on it without him. Sorry, Keegan, but I'm assuming the excitement of being able to drive your car is going to outweigh the disappointment of not being able to work on it. And if you really want to work on it, we can snap the timing belt again. The second thing I'm worried about, however, is that the engine is damaged. These are interference motors, so when the timing belt snaps, depending on where and what happened, piston can contact a valve and damage the valves. There's really no way to know without either doing a leak down test or just trying to get it running. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna try to get it running. Getting it running really shouldn't take too long as everything goes well. And then once it's running, it'll just be basic things like changing fluids, checking all the lights, making sure the brakes work. I'll be the first to admit I'm not really a BMW fan, but the older stuff is cool. Any car from the 80s is cool. This reminds me a lot of my Volvo. It's a European car, 4-door sedan from the 80s. It's perfect. What we have to do is, I probably should take off the hood just because it's a pain in the ass, but I don't know if I will. We're gonna have to drain the radiator, remove the radiator, take all the front cover stuff off, get to the timing belt. Hopefully we just swap the timing belt and it's good enough for now. Like I said, we're doing an engine swap. So as long as it's decent for a decent amount of time, I'm happy. I don't know where some of this stuff goes. I'm excited to hear this engine though. It does have an aftermarket exhaust, I do know that. Oh look, some cut line. Lovely. So those are the things that worry me. Randomly cut wires and shit. Oh God. Now one of the reasons we were so excited about this car is that the chassis, super clean. Let me show you. A little dirty, a little leaky, and a little damaged from being slammed way too much. Besides that, I mean, there's not a speck of rust under this thing. Like totally everything is good. And that is why that's exciting. It does look like it has a pretty loud aftermarket exhaust. I'm noticing it only has that one muffler. So that might be interesting. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Oh yeah, damn. Front opening hood is cool and all, but when you're trying to work on the front of the engine, it's supremely inconvenient. Okay, I take it back. Turns out if you take the hinge off, it can go all the way forward like this. So we really don't have to remove that at all. And it's not sketchy. Not sketchy at all. I mean, maybe a little sketchy, but. So I got the radiator out. I got the front of the engine disassembled. Two things I really don't like on older cars: clutch fans, they're annoying to take off, and then automatic transmissions with coolers in the radiator. That's also annoying. Looks like we just need to take off the crank pulley, which is 6 bolts, and then we'll have access to the timing stuff. We also have to take off this bracket. The BMW's got this cool like teeth for the tensioner. So as you rotate that bolt, it goes through the teeth and tensions the alternator. Same thing with the power steering. Kind of cool. So we got this thing pretty much fully disassembled, besides the tensioner, which we're gonna have to replace. We're not gonna be replacing the water pump or anything else just because this engine is gonna be here for maybe one oil change, you know, it's not gonna be here for a long time. But I am just gonna go ahead, spin the oil pump a little bit and prime the oil system, because I know this thing hasn't ran in a while. Maybe we've got a little bit of oil in there, circulate some things. Now we can work on setting the timing. So I'm gonna do the crank first. So the timing belt is on and the engine is properly timed. And man, I will say this engine was nice and easy to time. Do you like that part? Next up, obviously, is just to go ahead and put it back together. Before I fully put it back together, I'm just gonna get the timing stuff back on, you know, the crank pulley, all the timing covers, and then just see if we can get it to start so we know this engine is good. So I don't wanna go through the effort of putting all the radiator, the fan, all that stuff back together if this engine is toast. See what happens? This is always exciting. Oh God. Yeah, that's not working. That still does not sound like it's making any compression. Oh God. I'm gonna try to put a different battery in it. Go from there. It just shot a bunch of rocks out the exhaust. Don't sound like it's don't sound like it'd be working. Well, this is why I didn't continue to reassemble anything. It's turning over. Maybe, did he do something with that wrong? All right, so I took cylinder 1 out, see if it's getting spark, and then I also have a compression tester hooked up. So I'll also answer 2 questions at once. But first, let me thank this video's sponsor, Wolf. Wolf makes the ultimate inflator. It is the inflator of all things. Anything you possibly want to add air into, this bad boy can tackle it. Very simple to use. If you're inflating a tire, first you unscrew your valve stem cap, you take their little air pressure tester. Oh yeah, I'm a little low. You take your Wolf out of its handy carry bag, turn it on, and you select which mode you want. Now this is when it starts to get awesome. This inflator has different modes and different presets for different items. Car tires, truck tires, RV tires, sports balls, low pressure, high flow air, and a preset for bike tires. Once you select your mode, you can change the air pressure if you would like, and it will save that air pressure for future uses. Then you unravel the extra long air hose, screw it onto your valve stem, and then click start. Now, one of the awesome things about this air inflator is that it's very powerful. It inflates car tires very quickly. It can even inflate big truck tires. Say you have an off-road rig. A small air compressor takes forever to fill your tire, but this thing will do it pretty quickly. It can do a max pressure of 160 PSI. And the one thing I really like about it is that it slows down once it gets close to the target PSI. So if you're inflating something small, like in a ball or a bike tire, it doesn't blow past the pressure you have it set to. Now more about the versatility. It has adapters for every possible thing you could want to inflate. It's a needle type thing for balls and stuff. It has a Presta adapter, so you can use it on like higher end mountain bike tires. I even use this bad boy to seat the bead when I'm doing tubeless tire setups on a mountain bike. And like I said, you take this hose out, you can either inflate or deflate big things like air mattresses or tubes. It puts out some air. And then this thing just locks right back in. And that's why I love this thing so much. It's the inflator for every use. You put it in your little bag, you keep it in the back of your car. It's small enough to fit in most like side compartments or anything. Or you keep it at your house and you'll never need to use another tire inflator again. So if you guys are interested in getting your own @wolf inflator, check out the link in my description or up in the cards. They are currently giving you guys $40 off. So you can get $40 off this bad boy and get yourself the last inflator you'll ever need. Huge thank you to @wolf for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to working on the E30 after I reinflate all the tires because they're all low. Let's see here. We have 130 PSI of compression. So that's definitely compression. Did we see spark? Well, I just watched back the footage and sure enough, it's getting spark. So it's getting compression, it's getting spark, and it's definitely getting fuel. Why don't it be running? I don't know, but let's, I guess, check the other cylinders for compression. Just because it has it on one cylinder does not mean it has it on the others. There's our issue. Yeah, this engine's toast. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. So yeah, with cylinder 2 having 0 compression, it's clear that something in the head is damaged from the timing belt breaking. This is why you maintain your vehicles. This thing has got less than 150,000 miles. Somebody didn't change the timing belt. Boom, you've got a dead engine. I don't exactly know what I'm gonna do because I could either replace the entire engine, but this is a pretty low mile engine that's in good condition and I don't really feel like pulling the trans and all things. It's like if I'm gonna do all that, we're just gonna let it sit and do the engine swap. I could replace the head, easier, still a lot of work, but a little bit easier. Or I could wait until Keegan comes back and see what he wants to do because now I feel a little bit worse doing more work on it. And when it was just the timing belt, that was quick. It took me less than a day. But doing all this stuff without Keegan, this is his car, so I don't know. I feel a little bad about that. But for now, I am gonna take the valve cover off and look at the Valvetrain. Maybe we just have a bent rocker arm or a broken rocker arm. Maybe we get lucky. I doubt it. From what I've heard online, it's common that these things bend valves, crack rocker guides, like all sorts of bad stuff where you pretty much have to replace the head. Oh, yeah. That's some damage, that's for sure. Holy shit. But look how clean the engine looks. I mean, like, come on, man. Yeah, okay, so. That is some damage right there for sure. So it used to be a rocker. Oh, that's 1, that's 2, 3. This happens because when the timing belt breaks, the stuff up top is no longer connected to the stuff up bottom. They spin independently, and sure enough, it's designed where they can hit each other. And so they hit each other, and something's gotta give, and the weak stuff is up here. So that's why this happens. So yeah, I mean, this is totally fucked. The head has to be removed, so. Do I want to do that? That's the question. Do I want to do that? Spins so freely now after, because it was sitting for a while. So I mean, it's really hard to tell like which ones are just bent and stuff by looking. Now if I wanted to take the head off, you pretty much just have to remove the intake manifold, remove the exhaust manifolds, remove all the timing stuff, and then pull it off. Which doesn't sound that hard, but like very rusty, very cluttered, thus sucks. Aha! Oh, that worked. Come on, buddy. Okay. What is, there's something attached to the head back here. It's a little coolant line. I will say all the rubber on this thing is very flexible, which I like. Probably not a great sign, but it makes it easier to work on. A lot of gunk built up in it, but overall it looks pretty fine. So that's always nice to see. Wow, look, there's literally just dirt sitting in here. Looks like a little bit of metal on this last one. Doesn't look like there's any clear, obvious damage from the valves, so that's good. It looks like the bottom end is fine on this thing. So on the head here, you can see some marks on this valve in cylinder 2 and this valve in cylinder 4. And when you spin it over, see, like this one right here, just stays open. And so that's why those cylinders don't make any compression. They go up a little bit, same thing with this other cylinder. But they're just so bent that they can't close all the way. So, yeah, it's cooked, but that's okay. This is easy to replace, kind of. Maybe this isn't easy, but easy-ish. So I'm getting a new head tomorrow morning. While we wait for that, I'm gonna go ahead and prep the block and all the stuff in here. What we wanna do is we want to clean all the pistons off, just because we might as well now that we're here. We're going to take the old head gasket off, kind of crust it on there. That might be a bit interesting, but once we take the head gasket off, we want to clean the block. We also just want to double check, make sure there's no damage on any of the pistons, make sure none of them have play in them, which I think will be fine. And then we also want to clean the mating surfaces for the intake manifold and the exhaust manifold. Well, as you can see, the block is nice and clean. The pistons are cleaned off, checked for damage, all good. I rotated the engine a couple times, put some oil in the cylinders to lubricate everything while it's cranking up when we hopefully get it put back together. Pretty much used a combination of a razor blade and then some sandpaper on a sanding block, 800 grit on a sanding block. Pretty much you just want to make sure it's nice and smooth and clean. The head gasket we have is just an AutoZone Felpro composite gasket, but this does a good job at sealing up blocks and heads that aren't perfectly machined. And we're probably also going to be using some of that copper spray. You know, like I said, if I was doing this to an engine I wanted to be in my car for years, this is not how I would be going about it. I would be machining the head, getting the block cleaner, but that's not the goal. The goal is to drive it for a few months before we engine swap it. So now we are ready to get our new head, which means I have to wait. So we got our new head all prepped and ready to go in, I think. We got the surfaces for the exhaust manifold cleaned up, for the intake manifold cleaned up, for the head cleaned up. Got all the new exhaust studs, well, just cleaned exhaust studs on there. We've spun it over, make sure that's good. We cleaned the other side a little bit. I did a 1500 grit sandpaper after a razor blade. I think it will be good. Very smooth. I don't feel any imperfections. Obviously, you know, it's not that mirror finish you get when you machine a head, but that's what the copper spray is going to be for. So we're going to spray the gasket, put that on, and then put the head on. The other thing I did was also clean out all the threads for the head bolts, because if those are filled with oil, sometimes you can crack things, because oil does not compress. Nice, okay, there we go. So now we are going to replace all of the head bolts, because they are supposed to be only used once. However, I do not have said new head bolts, so I'm going to temporarily just kind of somewhat clamp the head down with these old ones so that we can continue reassembling things while we wait. We've got these silly new gaskets. Don't really know why you do this, BMW. It's kind of silly, but to each their own, I guess. Although I guess, is it smart using your gasket as your heat shield as well? There we go. Now for the intake manifold here, gotta go back and down. Nice. So I got the new head bolts here. I'm gonna go ahead and work on putting these in. I got a little bit of oil just to lubricate the threads, and it reuses the old washers. So we're ready to torque this head down. Of course, instead of torque specs, it's degrees. And you have to do this in a specific sequence. There. So that's the first torque sequence. The next sequence is 90 degrees. I have to do that one more time. All right, the head is torqued down. Now we already got the exhaust manifold all the way on. The intake manifold is on the studs, but we need to go ahead and bolt that down. Once that's bolted down, then we can do timing belt, do another oil change, put the valve cover back on, and try to start it. So it's mostly back together. We got the intake manifold on, tightened up. We got all the intake stuff on and tightened up. Some of the coolant stuff, all of the front end timing stuff, and the ignition system is all put together. Still oil in it, oil caps on. Battery is connected. I think we can try to start it. Now we can't let it run for very long because it doesn't have any coolant in it. None of the front stuff's there. It's also gonna spew transmission fluid, but that's fine. I just wanna hear it have compression and hopefully work. We'll still have a lot of work to do after this, if this works. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Can I do it once more without my earplugs on? I think so. That sounds so good. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Keegan's gonna be so excited. I decided on a couple things. Obviously we're gonna reassemble the rest of this. Since I did more work than I wanted to without Keegan, I'm not gonna drive it until he gets here. So we're not gonna pick him up from the airport. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna pick him up on the Accord, bring him here, tell him I'm going in to grab something, and then, you know, have him come in and start it for him, and then we can drive it. But in order to do that, we have to fix a really big oil pan leak on the transmission. And so now is a good time to do it because it's already kind of low on transmission fluid because it's been spewing out. So, oh man, I'm so excited. It sounded so good. Yes, BMW, let's go. I think you can probably see our issue here. Wait a second. Does it only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts holding it in? Well, shit, no wonder why it leaks. My goodness. So we're pretty much there. It's mostly full of coolant. It's got at least some ATF in it. ATF's kind of the thing where you have to run it and let it bleed before you know exactly the amount to put in. It's not as easy as like oil. I know it probably needs a little bit more, so I'm gonna just do a little bit more. But I think we're pretty much ready to let this thing actually idle and warm up and see how it performs. Idling a bit high, but okay. Why is it idling so high? I'm gonna adjust the idle and add a little more coolant, add a little more transmission fluid. All right, I'm gonna shut it off and check a few things again. Coolant levels to be good. I'm gonna check transmission fluid, and we're gonna keep doing this until I'm comfortable to let it fully warm up. I'm actually also just gonna go ahead and do an oil change now. All right, we just did another oil change, topped off transmission fluid, topped off coolant. Let's actually let this thing warm up. I'm assuming that check is a check engine or something, I don't know. Parking brake. All right, I think we figured it out. It's idling nicely, it's not overheating anymore. Let's see if the transmission works. I'm gonna hop in, put it in drive. Oh yeah. Oh. Man, these brakes suck, I'll tell you that. Thing sounds sick. Everything on it works. I just have to put the shroud on it, and then we're just gonna back it out, turn it around, back it back in, clean up the area for Keegan. Oh, this thing feels so sick. It feels like such an old car. Like, once this thing actually has some horsepower. Moving under its own power. It's idling a bit low, but can't really help that right now. Oh my goodness, bro, this thing is sick. Oh, I'm sorry, Keegan. Even just pulling it out is so much fun. Well, after all that, I'd say that was a success. All right, you gotta come inside.
Oh gosh.
Surprise for you. It's your car.
Yo!
Pop the hood, let's pop the hood. How did it get over here? Oh, it's still a BMW engine, that sucks. Does it look different at all?
It looks not really. I mean, did you just replace the...
I mean, why would I place the intake manifold?
No, I mean the engine.
Huh? Oh, I mean, you can try starting it, see what happens.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's not. Sounds pretty sick, doesn't it?
It does. This is crazy.
Okay, so while it warms up so we can go drive it, I'll show you what happened. So I went to replace the timing belt, because I was like, maybe we'll just get lucky. So that's the old timing belt.
Wow.
Definitely destroyed. Replaced it. Engine still had 0 compression. So then, I think you can see, isn't that crazy?
Holy crap.
So that's what ended up happening. When the timing belt broke, you can see these 2 valves are how they're bent.
Yeah.
So essentially the valves hit the pistons, and also it cracked the head right here, and then it broke 1, 2, 3 different rockers. So pretty much I replaced the head. Bryson took the head off of his spare M20.
Really?
Yeah. I felt a little bad doing all the work without you, but
It's all right.
you'll get to see it, and now you get to drive your car.
Yeah.
I figured it'd be worth it. See if the lights and stuff work. Hey, yo.
Alright.
Worst case scenario, if the brakes stop working, remember there's the e-brake.
E-brake.
there's something in that front left that's real fucking sketch. That's so sick.
Trying to figure out what some of these buttons even do.
Yeah, cool. Interesting. Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was
Crazy.
pressing that the
What
other
the
day.
heck? It doesn't like the coolant. Well, it's not overheating, so.
I like how
the heat works. Oh, that's nice. Nice and toasty
Yeah.
in here. Hell yeah.
This feels so weird.
I love, just from pulling it in and out, like this thing's so small and awesome.
I love how small it is. Yeah, this was the last thing I was expecting.
Everything, all the gauges work. It's got a full tank of gas. That was nice of him.
I think he did not mean for that to happen.
Yeah, well.
Kind of sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, it shifted. Okay. Second
Okay.
gear, okay. Hey-oh. Third gear. Okay.
I love this car.
It's so rad.
It feels super good.
Coolant's good. Everything else looks good. And do you want to go to the end and then can I drive?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, sick.
I definitely want you to drive it.
Cool. It feels like the power steering isn't quite working either. I think the belts were pretty fucked. Like they're pretty old and they were pretty loose. So I think that can be addressed. Oh man, the steering is so boaty though. It's funny because like it feels light and nimble, but whatever coilovers he's got ain't it. I don't know how that sounds. Yeah, it's honestly kind of quick.
Yeah, that's what I was
I can't really get it to like go above 2,500 RPM though. It's first gear, I think. Hey yo! Holy shit! This thing kind of rips.
It's a lot faster than I thought.
Wow. And it's so smooth too.
Yeah.
And it does sound good once you get it past 2,000 RPM. You just kind of have to put it into that different gear. I am happy you bought this thing now.
I think I like this much more than the Lexus.
I mean, yeah, it's so much.
It's just so. It's
The vibes are
smaller,
there.
too.
Yeah.
I might be
Ooh.
wrong. Ooh.
Okay, man. Keegan knows how to go over bumps better than I do, I guess. Bro, this thing sounds sick. Open diff. This thing is sick. I love it. You like it?
I like it.
It's small, and I actually really like this engine. It's kind of sick, but successful first drive.
Successful first drive.
Needs a few things, but that's what project cars are for. First project car. Well guys, that is it for this video. I'm really happy and I'm really proud of myself because I definitely came close to giving up a few times. When I discovered that the engine didn't have any compression, I just wanted to ditch this idea and just put the car back in the back where it had been sitting for months before. But I'm glad I persevered. I'm glad I went through the effort and got it running and driving again. It is so much fun to drive. It feels so light, and I mean, it feels like a Miata, but it's a four-door sedan. It's pretty sick. And it actually is kind of quick, and it kind of sounds awesome as well. You guys will definitely be seeing this car on this channel again. Question is when? I don't know. Could be soon, could be a while, but we're gonna give this thing some horsepower for Keegan and a manual transmission and better suspension and all the things. First BMW on the channel. I mean, that is a landmark for sure. So I'm pretty excited. If you do want to support the channel, please check out Patreon, where you get early access to videos, access to exclusive stuff, and access to like free merch. The Patrons didn't get an early viewing of this video because it would have spoiled it for Keegan, because Keegan's one of my patrons. So sorry patrons, but I couldn't spoil the surprise. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.